And notice here, there are three things mentioned in verse 11 about this loose type of woman. She's boisterous. That means she's noisy. It's not good for a woman to be noisy. You know, a woman needs to speak a little softly and gently. It's all right if a man's a little noisy, but a woman noisy, that's something odd about that. And second, rebellious. Does not know submission to her husband. It's very sad when a woman doesn't know submission to her husband. And third, it's very sad when a woman does not know how to keep her feet in her home. And she's wandering here and wandering there and wandering the other place, wasting time, instead of taking care of her family. Boisterous, rebellious, and a wanderer. Let none of those, or dressed as a harlot. You can add that as well, verse 10. Let none of those things describe any of the sisters in the church. Verse 12. She's now in the streets, now in the squares, now visiting that house, now a little more gossip in that house, now go to the other house and pass some more of that juicy gossip there, and then the other house and some more of the juicy gossip there, and all over the place. Well, this is the type of woman described here. And here, she's a married woman, but she finds this young man and she seizes him, it says, and kisses him, and with a bold face she says to him, you see, she's the religious type as well. She comes to the meetings. I was due to offer peace offerings. Now, peace offerings were the offerings that the Israelites had to offer to God in the Old Testament. We read about Moses laying down laws concerning that in Leviticus 7. Peace offerings in the Good News Bible, they're called fellowship offerings. Fellowship with God. That means I've got peace with God now. And she says, I have offered my peace offerings. I'm in fellowship with God. Everything's all right between me and God. And I've paid my vows to Him. I've done my religious duty. Now I can have some fun. Do you know that there are lots and lots of believers who think that just a little bit of religion can excuse all their worldliness and fun out there in the world? This is the religious type. This is the one who goes to the meetings. This is the one who probably sings in the choir. They've got fellowship with God. At least that's what they think. I was due to offer peace offerings. I've paid my vows, and one of the laws that God gave through Moses was that when you offer your peace offerings to God, the meat that you take home, you must finish it off either that day or the next day. You mustn't keep it till the third day. And so she says, I was waiting to eat this with someone, and I've come out to meet you, verse 15, so that we can have some fellowship together. Why don't you come to my home, and we can have some fellowship together, because we've got to finish off this according to God's laws, and we've got to be particularly careful about these religious type of women who are flirts. Don't think these flirts are just out there in the world. They can be sitting in the assembly, who are not wholehearted, who don't have a modesty. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in the way they dress. You can see it in their noisiness. You can see it in them wandering around every house instead of learning to sit at home. You can see that. Be careful of such girls. Those are not the type of girls any wholehearted young man should ever marry. No, should steer clear of such people. These religious types, and he says, I've come to meet you to seek your presence earnestly. The thing is, people may not go to the extent this woman went, but the seed of it can be there. We got to get rid of the serpent's egg as well. He says, I've come to seek your presence earnestly, and I've found you. There's the flattery. I sought you. You are the brother I was seeking for fellowship. The flattery in that. And this idiot of a young man just falling. Flattery, 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 flattery. Beware of it. Love rebuke. Young brothers and sisters, love rebuke. Love it when your parents rebuke you and correct you. Those are the ones who will be protected. And then she says, I have spread my couch, that's my bed, with coverings, with colored linens of Egypt. I've sprinkled my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. All that luxury, and that foolish husband of hers who wasted all his money getting all these colored linens of Egypt when some ordinary bedsheet would have done, and wasted money on all these myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. There's evil in all this unnecessary luxury. Yeah? No need for this wife to work, you see. She doesn't have to work hard with her hands to to make ends meet in the home. She lies down on the colored linens of Egypt and has got money to waste on myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Be thankful, dear wives, if you've got so much work to do in the home that you don't have time to waste like this. Be thankful if your husband cannot afford the colored linens of Egypt and all these fancy perfumes. You're protected from many evils through hard work, through struggling to make ends meet. There are many evils in luxury. In that high society, you think they have such an easy time. Yeah, but think of all the evil there is. Just because someone can afford 5 or 6 servants, don't think life is easy. There are many evils there in all that luxury. And you find such women even today in high society, just fooling around with other men. It's so true of all this. And then she says to this man whom she has met, this young man, "Come, let us drink our fill of love." It's not love, it's lust. What the cinemas speak about love, it's actually lust. They don't know how to spell it. It's L-U-S-T. That's what she should have said. And all this is lust. Love is what was manifested on Calvary's cross, where Jesus, in all His purity and obedience to the Father, loved us and gave His life for us. There's nothing else that's worth being called love. All the rest must be spelt L-U-S-T, even if they call it love. Until morning, let us delight ourselves with caresses, for she says, "My husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey." And I want to tell all men, never visit a home and sit there when the husband is not there. You young men want to get some advice? Will you take it seriously? Don't go and sit in somebody's house when the man of the house is not there. That's for men. Sit there and say, "Oh, but we're brothers and sisters." That's how it all begins. I'll tell you, this brother-sister business, in the judgment seat of Christ, you'll discover how many people fell into sin that way. Stay clear. Stay clear. Even if it's a sister in the fellowship, even if she's a modest one, for your own testimony. I'm not saying they're evil. You can go to the home of the most wholehearted sister in the fellowship, and because you want to be a good testimony and a good example to others, stay out of her house if the husband's not there. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. It says in 2 Timothy 3:6 about these men like Jannes and Jambres who enter into households. 2 Timothy 3:6. Those who have a form of godliness, verse 5, who speak about the new and living way, but who don't have any fear of God in their life. They enter into houses when the men are not there, it says. You know that? They enter into houses when the men are not there and captivate these weak women. Yeah, these are the people who are like Jannes and Jambres, verse 8, who opposed Moses. Don't fall into that category. Be wise. And so, this woman managed to capture this young man and said, "My husband's not here. He's taken a bag of money, Proverbs 7:20, and with him, and he's gone for a long time. He'll come back only at full moon." It's a couple of weeks yet. It's still a long time for him to come. Initially, he didn't want to go that far, you know. He probably just wanted to see her and chat with her. He didn't want to. I don't think this young man really had any intentions of sin with somebody else's wife. He just thought, I walk down the street, and if she's there, we'll just say hello to her. After all, she's a sister in the church and all that. And then it says, with her many persuasions, 21, she entices him. And this idiot fell. But he's got himself to blame. If he hangs around there all the time, exposes himself to temptation. It says with her many persuasions. In other words, this young chap didn't sort of yield in the beginning, but she kept on with her flattery and this, and prolonging the conversation and this and that. Finally he fell. And there young men can read Genesis chapter 39 and read of Joseph. How that married woman, Potiphar's wife, tempted him. And he ran. And that's the thing we got to do. Run. When you find in your heart a temptation, steer clear of such people. With her flattering lips, she seduces him. I really believe, brothers, dear young brothers, if after all that you hear here, in the day of judgment, if you find that you've fallen in this area, you'll have no excuse. You heard it clearly in the church. Again and again and again. Flattery. Beware of flattery. Suddenly, you see, gradually she weakens him. And suddenly he falls. As an ox goes to the slaughter, the poor ox doesn't know it's being led to the slaughterhouse, and this poor fellow doesn't know he's being led to the slaughterhouse by the devil. Or as one in fetters to the discipline of a fool, until an arrow pierces through his liver, and his whole life is ruined in a moment. As a bird, it's like a bird seeing a trap and running into the trap. So he does not know it'll cost him his life. Yeah, that's pretty strong warning for those who have ears to hear. And then it says, now therefore my sons, all those who listen to me, pay attention to the words of my mouth. Don't let your heart turn aside to her ways. Long before the feet get there, the heart sits at home and thinks, yeah, maybe I'll go and visit so-and-so. Or I'll take a walk down that street. It starts in the heart. He says, stop it there. Stop it there. Don't let your heart begin to long for someone's beauty. Stop it there. And then don't let the feet go into the paths. If the heart has already acted, then at least stop the feet. Because many, millions are the victims such women have cast down. And numerous, too numerous to number, are the ones she has slain. Her house is the way to hell. You know what's the way to hell? Flirting girls descending to the chambers of death. Really strong language the Word of God uses. And if only all the so-called Christian young men in the world had taken these words seriously, they'd have been protected from so much ruin and evil in their lives. Yeah. If you go to her house, the Good News Bible says, you're on your way to hell. If you go to such a girl's house and you choose to go, you've taken the first step to hell already.